Let's now take the case of a series RLC circuit. I have drawn this parallel RLC. For this we use the node voltage method to come up with this equation, and then we differentiated it to get this expression. We are going to draw some similarities here with this case, so I have noted that down. So in this case, for a series RLC circuit, we have, let us assume that there is already a voltage across the capacitor, initial voltage when the circuit came into existence, and we have, by response, we want to find the expression for I, like we found the expression for V here in this case. So let us try to come up with an equation using the mesh current analysis method, or KVL. Let us apply KVL and write an equation of a similar form. So let us start from here. So what do we get? L di by dt. Then we go to R. What do we get here? Is equal to R I plus now C. So what do we get here? We get a voltage with positive sign here, negative sign here, and that voltage would be 1 over C 0 plus T I dt, and the value of that voltage at 0 plus, and because this does not fulfill the passive sign convention, with that we are going to get a negative sign here, minus Vc at 0 plus is equal to 0. Look at the similarities of this equation with that equation. If we change C to L, V to I, 1 over R to R, and L to C, I's to V's, we get exactly this equation. So if we take the derivative of this equation, we are going to get L d second derivative of I plus R first derivative of I plus 1 over C I equal to 0. So compare both of these equations. C has been swapped with L, C to L, L to C, V converted to I, 1 over R replaced by R. So if for the case of parallel RLC, we started with that equation and solved everything and came out with finding alpha to be equal to 1 over 2 RC, omega 0 to be equal to 1 over under root LC, and omega d for the case of overdamped response came out to be omega 0 square minus alpha square, and everything, whatever we have found, the various responses. For example, for the case of overdamped, we said V would be equal to A1 e raised power S1t plus A2 e raised power S2t, and we know that S12 was equal to minus alpha plus minus under root alpha square minus omega naught square. Then if that equation, that differential equation, is the basis of finding everything in parallel RLC circuit, now if a mathematician, if somebody is given this equation and told to replace C with L, L with C, 1 over R with R, and V with I, what will he come up with? An alpha that is equal to 1 over R is going to be replaced by R over 2 C by L. Omega naught is equal to L by C and C by L. The same thing. Omega d does not depend on RLC, is omega naught square minus alpha square, the same thing, and V's are going to stay, sorry, I in this case. I would now be equal to A1 e raised power s1t plus A2 e raised power s2t, and the s12 would still be equal to minus alpha plus minus under root alpha square minus omega naught square. Everything will be same except the one difference that we have here, and that now we are not dealing with voltage but current, for example. That's it. So for a source-free series RLC circuit, you do exactly the same thing. You find alpha, you find omega naught, you see whether alpha is greater than omega naught or not, or whether they are equal, or whether alpha is less, and then based on that you decide whether overdamped, then this will be the response. If underdamped, then we will have A1 or B1, call them whatever, A1 e raised power minus alpha t cos of omega dt plus A2 e raised power minus alpha t sine of omega dt, and if alpha and omega 0 are equal, then we are going to get I equal to A1 t e raised power minus alpha t plus A2 e raised power minus alpha t, because in that case S12 would be equal to minus alpha because this term is 0. That's it. That's so simple. And here, however, for finding this A1 and A2 in each case, we need to rely on this thing that we are going to put t is equal to 0 to get I0, and for this we need to know the initial current, because there are in series the initial current in the inductor. That is going to give us this equation. So if we put t equal to 0 in here, we are going to get A1 plus A2 equal to the initial current in the inductor as one equation. This is for the case of overdamped response. For each case we have to understand what do we want to do. And now if we take the derivative of this, then we are going to take the derivative and then put t is equal to 0, and we are going to get di by dt plus is equal to A1 S1, then putting t equal to 0 is making that term 1, plus A2 S2. And the question is, what is di by dt? Do you know of anything, any equation that involves di by dt? Yes, I know an equation which involves di by dt, and that is the voltage across an inductor. So if the voltage across the inductor in this direction, suppose this is this voltage, then finding the initial value of the voltage of the inductor is going to give us the value of the derivative of the current at t is equal to 0. So what is this? If we apply KVL, so at t equal to 0 plus, we have this situation. There will be some voltage here, so it will be a voltage source. Let us say this is V0, the voltage across the capacitor in this polarity, and let us say the initial current is I0. Then this voltage VL at 0 plus is to be found. So if we apply KVL here, now in this direction of this current, this voltage would be R into I0. So we are going to get R into I0, voltage across R, minus V0, the initial voltage across the capacitor, plus VL at 0 plus equal to 0. So what do we get? VL at 0 plus is equal to V0 minus R into I naught. So we get this thing, and this equation will become V naught minus R I naught over L is equal to A1 S1 plus A2 S2. And solving this one and this one simultaneously, knowing V naught, I naught, R, L, S1 and S2, we can solve the values of A1 and A2. This is for the case of overdamped. The same procedure is going to stay for the case of critically damped as well as underdamped. And we can solve series RLC circuits exactly on the same lines as we did the parallel RLC circuit. Everything remains same. The responses are overdamped, critically damped, and underdamped. Last video was basically suddenly shut down because of the temperature of the mobile, but let me discuss the last case of an undamped response. Remember, I talked about it at the start. So when dealing with an underdamped case, look at this expression. For example, for the last video, V was equal to 210 square root 2 e raised power minus 2t sine of under root 2 t volts. Now this is a damping term. This term is what ultimately makes the response damp out. So what if this term is does not damp? Does not damp means it's 1. It's a constant. So e raised power 0 is 1. So how to get 0 for all time? So this, from where did this 2 come? From the alpha. So alpha was equal to, for parallel case, 1 over 2 RC. Now we know we have alpha here. So if alpha becomes 0, we have this 1. So how can alpha be 0? C is a finite value, 2 is a constant. How can alpha be 0? When R is infinity, 1 over infinity. So in parallel, what do we mean by having an infinite resistance? We mean we can have it by removing the R. So if we only have a capacitor, an ideal capacitor with an ideal inductor and no resistance in here, which obviously is not possible in real life, but it satisfies our intuition that if initially there was a current flowing in here, the inductor had energy. Now the inductor's current will make the energy move from the inductor to the capacitor, and then the capacitor will supply energy back to the inductor and so on, and they will keep on playing this ping pong, this passing of energy, and forever, because there is no agent here that takes commission whenever this passes energy to this one. So that agent is gone, so they will keep making the energy flow, and all terms of this form e raised power alpha t will become equal to 1. So the response would become 210 square root 2 sine of under root 2t. Now this is a constant and this is a sinusoid. The response will go on forever and it's not damping. So it will have a settling time of infinity, never settles down. It goes on forever. And this obviously may be desired in some circuits or some cases, but generally we need where we need damping to be achieved, then either an overdamped or an underdamped or a critically damped circuit is made. Usually a critically damped circuit cannot be made when you want to make one. Why? Because of the component tolerances. So when you go to the market and buy a resistance of 1 kilo ohm, you are never sure whether it is 1 kilo ohm or not. So achieving alpha to be exactly equal to mega naught may not be very possible. So when you are trying to make a circuit critically damped, it may not become critically damped. It may be slightly overdamped or underdamped. But when you are trying to make circuits over damped or under damped, they may become critically damped. So what we have learned till now quickly is that in an over damped case, without overshooting, the response settles down to the final value without any overshoot. In the under damped case, it goes higher up, comes down and overshoots values and then tries to settle down. It can overshoot many times depending upon the damping coefficient. And in the critically damped case, it is actually the smallest time possible without overshooting. So with a critically damped circuit, without overshoot, the smallest settling time is possible. And if we make a circuit less under or more under damped, we can say it goes higher, rings more, but ultimately it settles down. So basically, based on our need, we can choose the values of the components by changing the value of R. Maybe sometimes L and C are not changeable, but R can always be changed to find or achieve the desired response. So with this article covered, we have read the source-free circuits series RLC and parallel RLC circuit. We will now come to the complete response of the RLC circuit with a DC source involved as well.